Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Monday. Happy new start to a brand new week, which is always super exciting. You guys know how much I love Mondays. Today's episode, I am excited to share with you. I put in a lot of work into this, thinking about this, because lately I have been thinking a lot about my goals and my intentions and achieving those goals. I've always been very goal-orientated. You guys know I also talk about reaching your goals a lot on this podcast because I think it is so important to set goals and to go after what you want in life. But you know, it's really hard to actually achieve your goals unless you do the right things to back it all up, right? We can create inspiration boards, we can write in our notebooks over and over again the things that we want to achieve, but if we do not have a plan, if we do not have an intention, we do not have the habits to back those things up, then it is very difficult to achieve all of our goals. And over the years that I've become very goal-oriented, I was finding that I was putting kind of all my eggs in one basket, if you know what I mean. So basically, I'm setting myself up for a letdown, you know, because you just focus on the end goal, and instead of enjoying the journey and the continual improvement. And have you ever, reached a goal and kind of felt empty? Well, there's reasons behind that, which I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about goals, setting the right goals for yourself. Some of the reasons that we are inspired by our goals and why maybe we do set our goals. But then I'm going to talk about being discouraged by reaching goals, because not a lot of people talk about that. It's always set your goals and go after them. But we forget to talk about, sometimes we feel empty after we reach something that we once thought, would just make us the happiest. And there's lots of reasoning behind that, which I'm going to be talking about. And then what I'm going to be jumping in really is into our intentions. And you can set as many goals, you can write your notebook, you can do a million inspiration boards of the things that you dream of. But if you do not have the right intentions with your goals, those goals will either leave you feeling empty once you achieve them, or you will not be able to achieve them. So with intentions, that entails a lot of different things. So I'm going to be going over that. And then I'm going to be giving you some examples of an intention, a goal, and an affirmation for different aspects of our lives. So hopefully you can kind of get an idea from just goals too that I have. I'm going to be sharing with you and sharing that intention, that goal, that affirmation that I like to say to myself to go after these things. So lots of good things to be shared in today's episode. I think it's super important to talk about goals in so many different ways, to go after them and to make it happen. But if you're just posting things on your inspiration board, you're just cutting out magazine clippings, it's not going to get you anywhere. You need that habit. You need that intention. You need that action to get you to those goals, to make those things happen. And we have to make sure that we're doing it properly so that we don't feel let down after we work so hard to achieve something. There's nothing worse than going after something, putting so much time into a goal, and then once you achieve it, feeling lousy about it, right? It's just a terrible, terrible feeling. But there is reasons behind that. So I'm going to start babbling on about what this episode's about, and I'm going to start talking about it. So I was finding that I was putting all my eggs into one basket, basically, and I'm setting myself up for a letdown. And think of it this way. When we set a goal, goal setting helps us to see the future, right? It helps us to understand what we want. It helps us to create a plan, and to stay on track to get things done, right? So it sounds quite wonderful when we think about setting goals, but there is a downside to goal setting. And basically what that is when you're setting a goal, you're always thinking to the future. In 1 year, I'm going to achieve this. In 2 years, I'm going to achieve this. In 5 years, I'm going to achieve this. In 10 years, I want to be here, right? And we're always thinking about the future. And this is where people lose track of the journey, because we're always paying attention to the future instead of the present moment, instead of the journey. And it's just inevitable. When you set a goal, obviously you're going to be thinking from the future, right? You're not thinking from the moment right now, because that's not what you're setting your goal for, right? So we lose the wonderful things about the present moment. And basically when you set a goal for the future, you're emphasizing on what we don't have, right? So you set a goal for 5 years from now, and it's because it's something that we don't have at this point in our lives. So, for those who set goals and sometimes fail to achieve those things, the act of goal setting can lead to a sense of not only failing, but of being a failure. And that's part of where we feel lousy after we set these amazing goals for ourselves. So I think there are some main reasons why I think we authentically are inspired by our goals, or that we are empowered to make them happen. And these are just a few things that I jotted down that I think everybody can somewhat relate to at some point in their lives, of why they've maybe have set their goals. So the first one is, your goals are often about fixing what you think is wrong with yourself. It could, I'm going to use this example a lot, but exercising, our body weight, right? Our image that way. When we set a goal, I want to lose 10 pounds, it's because you feel like there is something wrong with your body, that you feel like you need to set that goal to lose the 10 pounds. So it's actually quite a negative thing when you think about it, because we're just focusing on what's wrong with ourselves, or what we think is wrong with ourselves. And even though we have, the right idea that we want to get to that happy place of feeling confident in our body, really when we start to think about it, we start to manifest these goals, we're kind of thinking about it in the wrong way. So another one is, once that you set them, you feel a sense of pressure to make them happen, which just makes sense. I know that if I say something out loud to people, if I say I am going to do this in a year, I am going to achieve this in a certain amount of time, especially if I say it out loud, I put so much pressure on myself to make that happen, because I like to hold myself accountable. And if someone heard me say it, you bet I am definitely making that happen. I think that's a sense of pride thing. And I think a lot of people do that when we just set these goals. We feel that absolute pressure that we have to make it happen. Another one is that you worry that you won't accomplish or achieve what you want, and then you'll feel like a failure. So we're inspired by these goals, we set them, and, we stress about not achieving them, and then it brings in that whole sense of imperfect and that failure, and I can't do anything, and then that leads us down a dark hole. The next one is, you don't get the kind of support that you really want and need. So maybe you have to set these goals and be inspired by these goals because you're not feeling fulfilled in other aspects of your life. You want more. Or maybe you forget that your intentions are designed to support you and not stress you out. I am going to be talking about intentions later on in today's episode to really kind of explain this point, but we forget that, setting a goal and the journey, it's supposed to be a fun time. It's supposed to be enjoyable. You're not just supposed to feel the happiness at the end when you reach it. You're supposed to be enjoying the process. And I think a lot of that has to do with the right mindset and that inner dialogue that we have with ourselves. You maybe also, you get too focused on the outcome, right? And you forget about the experience. Exactly, right? So you're focusing on the end thing and you're missing out on the journey. And then my last point that I wrote down was, you allow competition to take over. So maybe that goal setting, maybe you want to be better than somebody. Maybe you're kind of, going after the same thing as one of your worst enemies from high school, and you want to be better than them. And it's that competition inside of you. It's that it's your ego, really what it is too, right? Our pride, and we have to be the best. We have to be better. So we set these goals because we feel like that's going to make us feel like the best, or that we will become the best. But I know I'm not the only one who has felt discouraged by reaching my goals. So Have you ever reached a goal and you felt just more empty than ever? Right? And there's scientific reasons behind this. And basically, to sum it up in the shortest form I can, is our brain releases dopamine, which is the hormone that, of course, is associated with motivation and happiness. And that hormone is in anticipation of reward, of that goal. So that's what keeps you working towards your goals. It's that release of dopamine. It's that release of motivation and happiness and that drive that you feel, especially where, each milestone you set towards achieving it, it gets hit. So all those small victories you hit, more dopamine is released, and it gives you a reason to keep going. And it's a biological position to feel good. So of course you're going to keep motivated to reach those goals. Of course you're going to pressure yourself to keep going because you want to. You feel that motivation because you're achieving those small steps. But the problem here is that when you reach your goal, the release of dopamine drops. So you're no longer releasing all of that dopamine all the time. And it's harder for you to biochemically to have joy because you're not going after that anymore. So that is literally the scientific reason why you might be feeling empty after you're reaching a goal. Now, I got lots more information to share about you. We're going to talk a little bit more about feeling discouraged after reaching a goal and how we can avoid that, why maybe that happens to ourselves. And then I'm going to jump into intentions and living in your intentions and how your intentions are going to help you achieve all of your goals. So it is time for a little bit of break, but when I get back, there is so much information to be shared with you, so do not go anywhere. I will be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I am your host, Alyssa Jo, just in case you forgot. Hello, everybody. So we are back from the break, and we're talking all about setting your goals, why we might be feeling discouraged from our goals, and then we're going to jump into our intentions. Intentions are what backs up our goals. It's what makes our goals happen, and it's so important to be living with intention, or else achieving those goals will become a lot harder, if not impossible, and, living in intention will stop you from feeling unfulfilled after you reach that goal. So let's get right back into it. So I talked about the biochemical reason why you might be feeling unfulfilled after you're reaching a goal, but the other reason goal setting kind of leaves us disappointed sometimes is that it moves you towards what you think that you want, and then it just takes you out of enjoying the present moment. So instead of just being grateful for here and right now in this very moment, you're left feeling like what you currently have is not enough, right? You're stuck in that mindset that I want more, and you must strive harder, to get the next big thing. What's my next big goal? There's a lot of people that are really like business focused or goal orientated, and they, after they achieve one thing, it's just not enough. It's what's the next thing I can do? What can I do now? Instead of really just enjoying that accomplishment, that hard work that you put in, the entire journey, and living for that moment within there. And then this just leads you, to being stuck in an endless cycle of goal setting to fill the void that you feel inside, that I need the next big thing to be happy, instead of learning to be happy in the present moment. So what exactly is the difference between goals and intentions? And the main difference between goals and intentions is the time frame. That is it. That is probably the biggest thing that different the goals and intentions. And intentions really work their magic on the present moment. What is my intention right now? Where goals work their magic in the future or on the future, right? So when you're living your intentions, you know, it's actually quite different than having a goal-oriented focus. So we have to change our mindset from being goal-oriented to living your intentions. This is because it allows you to focus on, you know, how you want to be in the moment and how you want to feel right now and every single day. So it's not about winning or losing. It's about, you know, turning into your moment to moment focus, to really pay attention to right now, how you're feeling, your happiness now. And that's what's going to help you sustain your happiness. Because reaching those goals, always thinking in the future, that is never going to help you sustain your happiness, ever. It's just how it is. So we have to make sure that we are being able to sustain our happiness, to sustain that joy in our life. So this means that we need to live by our values and what matters to us the most, because our intentions are in the present moment, and intentions are lived every single day. You know, it's independent of reaching the goal or destination. You have to have the right intentions to reach your goal or to sustain that happiness and to not feel unfulfilled, because even if you're not living by your intentions, you're going to still have that dopamine release when you're going after your goals. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sustain that happiness, right? But when you're living with intention, you're going to be able to sustain your happiness. And that's what we want. We want an everyday happiness, not just the one that comes in, happiness will come and go. It's okay to feel your low points, but I just mean we don't want to feel that empty void or feel like we have to just go on to the next big thing to fill that void inside of us. So I kind of like to think of intention as like our personal trainer. Okay, so it gives you that daily rhythm, that motivation, the accountability that you need to transform yourself. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be setting your goal for 1 year from now, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, because that is very important too. And that's actually kind of the first step, is figuring out, okay, what are my goals for the next 6 months? Or what do I want to achieve in 6 months to a year? And you got to write those things down, okay? And then if you can do that pretty easily, maybe you can do, okay, what do I want to achieve in 5 years? Write that down. Okay, now what do I want to achieve in 10 years? Write that down. And if thinking about the 10-year, spectrum, like way on down the road, is overwhelming to you, don't do it. Don't write that down. It's okay to not have a 10-year plan, to not have a 10-year goal. It's very, very normal to not have a 10-year goal at the end of the day, okay? What's important is being able to see, okay, this is where I want to be in 6 months, or this is where I want to be in a year from now. And you see that. And you got to write these goals down for all different aspects of your life, right? Like your career. So your work-wise, maybe your relationships, the connections that you have in your life, your mind, your body, your soul, all these different things that you're going to have goals towards, right? So I like to break mine up in different categories. I like to, think of my body, my mind, my soul, my connections, like those relationships that I have, my career, my social life in general. I guess that kind of goes in with connections and stuff, but that personal development, right? So you can make goals for all these different aspects of your life. Let me give you some examples here. So nutrition is a category in itself. Exercise, category in itself. Stress management. Maybe you have really bad anxiety and you need to work on your stress management. Your relationships, your finances, and your wealth. Like this could be different than your career, right? So you can have your finances and wealth as a category, and then you could have your work and career as another category. You could have recreation and play. So this is your social activities. You're starting a hobby or playing sports or something like that. Environment and community. Maybe you have goals in there as life purpose and values. Now this can be quite kind of a broad spectrum, but you can have goals specific to your life purpose and your values. Your self-esteem, your self-efficiency, That can be a huge section for people. Your spirituality, that's another category you can set goals for. So obviously you have to tailor everything towards yourself and what kind of goals do you want to set for you. So what I like to do when I am doing this is I think of, okay, 6 months from now, I like to start off with six months to a year. And I pick my categories and I write them down in my notebook. I have my different categories and I start to list off my goals. And the most important thing is when you're setting a goal is that you have to be so specific. That is the only way you are going to achieve that goal. For example, okay, let's say I just want to lose weight. 6 months to a year, I want to lose weight. Okay, that's great, Alyssa. But does that mean I'm going to be losing 1 pound? 10 pounds? 20 pounds? 0.5 of a pound? Like, what does that mean? And yes, in 6 months to a year, I can probably achieve that goal. I can probably lose a little bit of weight, that 1 pound, which technically that means I would have achieved my goal. But if I'm more specific, if I say I want to lose 10 pounds of body fat, so body percentage fat, that's it. Not muscle. I can gain muscle, but I want to lose 10 pounds of fat, basically. Now, that is a specific goal. That means I need to be measuring my body fat. That means I can still be working out in the gym and building the muscle. So maybe I'm not, losing 10 pounds, because I could be gaining muscle at the same time, right? So this is a very specific goal. I want to lose 10 pounds in 6 months. Maybe that's your goal. Or I want to make $100,000 in 1 year. It's not, I want to make more money this year. No, I want to make $100,000 this year. That is a specific goal. This is going to help you stay on track. So think of very specific goals for each aspect of your life. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to make this amount of money. I want to, anything specific. I'm going to go through a list of different goals of different aspects. I will talk about that soon. But the most important thing is that the more specific you get, the easier the goal is going to be achieved. So make sure you're being specific. Make sure that you tailor to yourself and always start with 6 months to a year. You don't need to look at your 10-year plan if you can't. I think 6 months to a year is great. I think if you can look at the 5-year plan, look a little bit bigger than that, I think that's awesome too. But work your way up. You can start with 1 year, 2 years, okay, then in 3 years, what am I going to do? And then maybe 5 years, right? So you can kind of think of it that way. And you always have to remember that your goals are going to change throughout your life, throughout different times of your life. We're always growing. We're always evolving. We're finding new things we like. Life is taking us down a new path. You're going to have different opportunities in different areas. It's just inevitable. So your goals are going to change, and that is okay. But when you think of setting your goal, so I want to lose 10 pounds. Now, the next thing that you need to do is you need to set your intention or a habit. So I like to plan out all my goals for the next 6 months to a year in all aspects of my life, and I list them all very specific. And then I go goal by goal by goal, seriously, just each one, and I try to come up with, I think of habits that are going to make that goal happen. So I want to lose 10 pounds in 6 months, say, for an example. So a habit that will help me achieve that goal was I'm going to develop the habit of waking up by 6:30 a.m. and I'm going to go for a walk or a run, a 30-minute walk or run 5 times a week. That is a habit that I am going to implement into my life that is going to help me achieve that goal. So all your habits need to directly follow up achieving those goals. Okay, it's time for another break, but don't go anywhere because I'm going to talk a little bit more about habits and really get into what setting an intention is like and how you can set the right intentions for yourself to achieve those goals. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. Hello. We are in the last stretch of today's episode. I have still so much information to cram into the last stretch here. So let's just jump right back into it. So I mentioned that you have to set your goals and then you have to start deciding on the habits that will make those things happen, because the habits that you do is going to make your goals happen. It's just what it is. You can't think about, okay, in a year I'm going to make $100,000. You can't just think about that and it's going to just magically happen. You have to have the right habits to get you to that point. You have to have the right habits to lose the weight that you want to lose, to build the connections that you want to do. Like, you have to have your habits that follow up. So make sure that you go by point exactly what those habits will be. And now I really want to talk about your intentions. And so intentions, I like to think kind of like habits as well, because I like to think of a monthly intention, a weekly intention, and a daily intention. And so you're going to have your list of habits, and maybe your list of habits might be one of your daily intentions. That is okay, but it might be completely different as well. So what I mean by this is we have goals in all different aspects of our lives, but maybe you really want to work on your career this month. The month of September is going to be your career month. So your monthly intention needs to be specific. It needs to be, I intend to work longer hours this month maybe. I have the intention to work harder this month to see how much I can progress over just a month. See how much more income or how much more, exposure to money in general I can come up with having this intention for the month. And your monthly intentions will change, of course. And then you got to break that down even smaller. Okay, so then what is your weekly intention? Okay, so maybe this week I am going to focus on eating completely clean. I'm not going to have any cheat meals. I intend to eat completely clean, and I'm going to see how I feel. I'm going to see how much energy I get from eating completely clean for an entire week. Okay? And then you're going to have your daily intention. I intend to show my appreciation and gratitude to the people who care about me today in every aspect I can. Or I intend to pay it forward today. So maybe you set those intentions to buy, you buy the person in the lineup behind you their coffee in the morning, and then you show up to work and you do some extra donating to a charity or a cause, or you're helping somebody out with a project, whatever. You intend to give back. So you set your monthly intention, your weekly intention, and your daily intention. And then along with these, your habits also need to coincide with those intentions, as well as your values and what you want out of your life. Okay? So setting intentions will help you get out of your head, because you're allowing yourself to think about one thing. Okay? Just that one thing for the day. That's it. You're not thinking of the longer picture 5 years down the road or 1 year down the road when you want to make $100,000. You're thinking of how you're going to help yourself do that goal today. What is your daily intention? So voicing your intentions is going to take your mind off of the problems and the perceived kind of limitations, and instead you're going to place your focus on something that you will have a positive impact on your life. This is allowing you to change that mindset, change that inner dialogue to a positive mindset, inner dialogue, a positive thing that's going to have a positive impact on your life. You're not thinking, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to make $100,000 in a year? You're thinking, okay, what can I do today to get me that much closer to my goal. So clearly stating how you intend to feel today instead of wishing that you felt better, that puts the power of change in your own hands. I intend to feel independent today. Maybe you're going to go home and you're going to cook by yourself, which you don't really do. Maybe your husband usually does that for you, or your wife does that for you. So you feel independent. You're going to cook a meal. You're going to do this. You think about how you're going to feel, because you can set goals. You can create habits in your life, and that's all great. That's awesome. But what's really important is how you want to feel every single day. What is your intention? How do you want to feel today? I'm going to give you a little quick example. I really like working outside. I do a lot of my writing outdoors. I find that I work better. I like to just be outdoors. I like to be in the fresh air when I'm doing some of my work, and I really enjoy it. So sometimes I will say to myself, I intend to expand my focus so that I can enjoy, I can appreciate, and I can contribute to the beauty of nature today as I'm sitting outside and doing my work. So I'm not just letting myself focus on my work. I'm also taking the moments to focus on the outdoors. The butterfly that flew by and landed on my table. You know, the birds chirping outside, the wind blowing in my hair, things like that. I intend to appreciate the beauty of nature around me and why I like working in it so much. So your intentions need to be very, very specific. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking about different aspects of our lives. I'm going to give you an intention, the goal, and the affirmation. And if you are going to try to do what I've been talking about today, I highly suggest doing it this way, because I find that this is the best way to stay focused, to lay it out for yourself, to have a positive impact already as soon as you're writing these things down. I just think it's super, super helpful. So what I like to do is I like to do 3 columns. I do a category. So today we're going to start with nutrition, okay? Let's start with nutrition. And I do 3 columns, and then my title, my category is nutrition. My first column, I have my intention. My second is the goal. And then my third is my affirmation. Okay? So my intention is to look and feel great from the inside out. My goal is to allow 2 cheat meals or indulges a week, but no more. Because you have to find the healthy balance, right? And then my affirmation is indulging in the occasional cheat meal helps me maintain a balanced diet. Okay? When I restrict myself from diets and foods, I go down a drain. It can only work for a little bit. I really been working on finding a balanced diet, or else it's just not healthy for my mind or my body. So I'll give you another example. I'm going to have a healthy, strong body that's free of diseases, of pain, of stress. Okay, that's my intention. Now, my goal is to avoid substances that do harm and stress to my body. So I'm going to try to eat, organic things, locally grown foods, not put those harmful chemicals in my body. And my affirmation is I'm keeping my body healthy, strong, and free of disease by avoiding harmful substances. Okay, now let's go into exercise. My intention is to be strong and energetic and have the flexibility to perform physical tasks with ease. I want to be in good shape. Now, my goal is to follow a fitness program 3 to 5 times a week that incorporates strength training, stretching, and aerobic exercise. My affirmation is I'm getting stronger and more energetic each day by following a fitness program. Do you see how this works? You're setting the intention for yourself. You're setting up yourself to achieve, basically. You're intending, okay, this is what I want. This is how I want to feel. Not a materialistic thing. As I didn't say I want to have a very, I want to have an 80% muscle mass. Yes, you can be, I want you to be specific about things, but you need to have, your intention needs to be the way that you want to feel. I want to feel strong and energetic. And I want to have the flexibility to perform my physical tasks at ease. I don't want to have to stress about those things. Okay? And then my goal is your action, is that habit. Okay? So I'm going to follow a fitness program 3 to 5 times a week. And it's going to incorporate strength training, stretching, and aerobic exercise. And then to round it all off, I have my affirmation that's going to make, me stay on track. I'm getting stronger and more energetic each day by following a fitness program. And your affirmations are the things that you need to repeat to yourself over and over and over again. Okay, so I have these 3 columns for different categories, and my intention, my goal, my affirmation. And I like to print these things out. I like to write them by hand, to be honest with you. But I write them down with hand, and I will put these things around my house. So maybe I have my intention and my goal. I'll have it written down. I'll have it in my room or wherever, and my affirmation. Or I'll just have my affirmation posted on my bathroom mirror. Maybe I'll have 10 of my affirmations posted on my bathroom mirror. So when I wake up and I start doing my makeup in the morning, or, I'm blow drying my hair, I can say to myself, I'm getting stronger and more energetic each day by following a fitness program. And the more that you repeat these positive affirmations to yourself, the more you're manifesting these goals, the more you are going to achieve these things with sustained happiness. Okay, let me give you some more examples here. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about finance and wealth. Okay. My intention is to have a healthy relationship with money. And my goal is to find resources and learn skills to remove self-limiting beliefs regarding money. And then my affirmation is money is a form of energy, and I allow it to flow freely in my life. Okay. Let's give a work and career one. Let's see here. My intention is to do work that allows me to grow and continue to learn. My goal is to set monthly milestones for new skills or work knowledge that I want to acquire and work towards meeting them. And then my affirmation is I'm continuing to learn and grow with my work by meeting my monthly milestones. You see how this works? You see how positive this is? And I promise if you follow this system, you are going to have sustained happiness. And then when you do reach that goal, you're going to have enjoyed the journey so much that fulfillment is still going to be there. That happiness is going to be there, and you're going to feel so good about it. All right. Well, that is all the information I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really hope it was helpful for you. Thank you so much for being here. I truly, truly do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Alyssa Jo, and I love being here so much. So please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you are reminded every single time I have a new episode out, which is Mondays and Thursdays. Do not forget to head over to our social media pages, like and follow those. I update those on the regular. So go engage with me, go chat with me, send me a message if you have a question, if you want to bounce ideas back. I would love to chat with you. And then of course, leave a 5-star review. You already know how much I love reading them and how much it helps. Thank you so much for being here. Stay positive, stay happy, and live with intention. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.